Hi, man, peace. So, Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves is one of the NBA's brightest young stars. He made the All Star game for the first time in his career. And in light of his stellar performance against the Golden State Warriors this past Sunday, the question begs to be asked, what exactly is the reason why he oftentimes is not mentioned amongst many of the NBA's young elite players, like a Joel Embiid or a Giannis Antetokounmpo? What exactly is holding him back? Of course, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
I want to talk about the Timberwolves. They beat the Warriors yesterday, 31 points, 16 rebounds from Karl Anthony Towns, the walking double-double. He scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, carried the Wolves down the stretch. So I don't know, Jimmy Butler, given his boy Kitty Cat, as he said on social media, a little bit of a bump, said he could do it. Do you think that the Cat can do this with Jimmy Butler out?
Let me say this first off. Yes, Karl Anthony Towns can carry the Minnesota Timberwolves, but he has a series of problems that are going to stop him from ascending to the level that he needs to ascend to take over the supremacy on that team. Number one, he has a very overpaid compatriot in Andrew Wiggins. To be quite frank with you, I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves are an example of a team that has a little bit too much talent. They have a little bit too much talent. And I think that they understood that when they traded away Zach LaVine. But they brought in Jimmy Butler, a player who kind of mimics what Andrew Wiggins does, except Jimmy Butler's better than Andrew Wiggins. So they may have to decide what to do with Andrew. I don't think that he's panned out the way that they would have liked him to pan out thus far. Andrew is a great athlete, phenomenal natural athlete, plays relatively hard on both ends, but I don't think that he is the player that they want him to be for the amount of money that they're paying him. He's never going to be an alpha. At best, if he's able to find his role on a team that is role-oriented, he can be another Scottie Pippen. And that's the upside on Andrew Wiggins. But Karl Anthony Towns is their best player. The problem is that he does not have an alpha personality. At least it has not manifested itself thus far. Jimmy Butler is their alpha. Now, Jimmy's about 28 years old, so the good news is that by the time Jimmy's ready to hand over the keys to the team, Karl Anthony should be right in his prime, around 26, 27 years old. Another problem he has is Mr. Tom Thibodeau, who, as I've mentioned before, is not, to me, a championship-level coach. I think he's someone who's far too much into the grit and grind of what he perceives the proper NBA style should be. He overplays his players, and it's going to wear them down. And if the Minnesota Timberwolves front office does not step in, he's going to ruin Karl Anthony Towns also.
He's holding down the fort and he's helping them win games, but he will never carry the Wolves as long as Jimmy's on the team because it's Jimmy's team.
Right.
So I think, much like Isaiah Thomas didn't want to use the word revenge, I don't want to use the word carry when it comes to Karl Anthony Towns. He still needs to.
I partially agree with that, but I do believe that as Jimmy Butler ages, he's going to have to fall back. And it also depends on how long Jimmy Butler's going to be on the team. But it's also up to the coach to say, we have a player that can be considered one of the top 10 players in the NBA if we utilize him properly. That being Karl Anthony Towns. Jimmy Butler has a high upside, but I think he's already reached it. He's as good as he's ever going to be. Jimmy Butler's never going to be any better than he is right now. Karl Anthony Towns has an extreme upside. He's one of a bevy of young big men that are going to take over the NBA in the next 5 years. I think that it's going to reach a point in the NBA, probably another 3 or 4 years, where you're going to count the top 10 players in the NBA, and maybe 6 of them or 7 of them will be big men.
To maximize himself defensively, we talked about two-way players, but certainly he's an offensive force. He has the touch, he has the ability to put it on the floor, play out of the post, play in the perimeter, and, you know, in a very tough Western Conference, he's keeping them afloat. So he deserves a ton of credit, but he's never going to be the guy to carry the Wolves as long as Jimmy Butler wears, those weird striped jerseys.
They also need better point guard play. They need a better point guard who's going to involve Karl Anthony, how Karl Anthony needs to be involved, because I don't think that he's ready to commandeer the team and say, look, I need to have these plays run for me so that I can do what I do. He's not ready for that yet. He's just playing the good soldier, and that's to his credit. But there is going to come a time that in order for Minnesota to truly exert any form of championship aspirations, he's going to have to take over the team.
with the highlighter jerseys.
Jimmy Butler, another one of those top two-way guys, but Big Cat is not a guy that's going to average 30 and 15.
Right.
But he can have those big nights. I think
I think that Big Cat can get to the point where he can average 30 and 15. But he's going to have to, you know how they say that he has his grown man body? Big Cat is going to have to get his grown man mind. He's going to have to mature. Once he matures, then he'll have the confidence and the clout to tell whoever the coach is, I need my shots, I need my attempts. I need the offense to focus around me. And what you'll find is that the teams that are championship ready have those type of players. They have that one singular superstar who they say we're going to ride him to a championship. It doesn't mean that you don't have other good players and other good complementary players, but you need that one guy who you're going to hitch your wagon to. And Karl Anthony Towns is the guy on that team. It's not going to be Andrew Wiggins. And it's not going to be Jimmy Butler. They're going to have to hitch their wagon onto him. And when they do that, that's when they're going to be ready to really challenge for a championship. And that's not going to be for another 3 or 4 years. And it may be with a different coach, because I don't think that Thibodeau is a championship level coach.
the perfect number 2 guy, but it's Jimmy's team. They need Jimmy to come back and be Jimmy. The way that he's been throughout the season since, I think December when he said, you know what, I'm done, I'm taking it over.
Right.
Yeah, Jimmy said I'm taking it over because he saw that Karl Anthony wasn't ready, and Wiggins is just not that dude. Andrew Wiggins is not that dude, but he can be a great complementary piece.
But I'm a big fan of Big Cats. I really am. I mean, I love his motor out there.
Yeah, he has a great motor.
His intensity.
Why couldn't you go do that every night?
Well,
He's not mature enough. He's not mature enough yet. He'll get there, but he's not mature enough. That's why I said the NBA is in a great place. Because Karl Anthony Towns, Jokic, Embiid, they're all going to reach their peak at the same time. That's why I say in about 5 years, you're going to see some very exemplary big men play in the NBA. I mean, we're already seeing it now, but in 5 years, assuming that this world is still around in 5 years.
I just think it's so much of a guards league, to be honest with you. You got to play through the guard. I mean, he needs somebody to be able to throw it to him.
Agreed. But that's not even as much of an excuse on that team to say that it's a guards league, because they don't have a superstar point guard. Jeff Teague, to be honest with you, is probably one of the bigger disappointments in the NBA, because he started out in Atlanta as a player who seemed like he was going to be a superstar. My father used to love that dude. He used to tell me on the phone, you don't know nothing about that boy Teague. But, just to get back to the point, Karl Anthony Towns, he should not have to suffer from not getting enough touches because he's playing on a point guard oriented team, because he doesn't. They have to involve him more and make him more of a primary option in their offense.
He can't just bring it like AD and Boogie, bring it down and do all of that.
Shouldn't have to do all that.
He's a different player a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's going to be effective every single night.
Yeah.
And AD and DeMarcus Cousins, they don't get as many touches because they bring the ball up, because they have Rondo for that. They have Rondo to get the offense initiated, as well as Jrue Holiday. So there is an issue within that team that they're going to have to resolve in the next couple of years. I don't think that Thibodeau is going to be there very long. He seems to be very stuck in his ways. He had the same issue in Chicago, where he literally ran Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah into the ground. He almost ran Jimmy Butler into the ground. Now it seems as if he's willing to run him into the ground in Minnesota. And if the Minnesota Timberwolves front office does not get involved, he will destroy their young players. He will destroy Karl Anthony Towns. So they better get up off their ass and do what they need to do, and either speak to Thibodeau and have him change his ways or remove him. That's how that has to go.
Yeah, I like that. All right.
But anyway, that's it on Mr. Karl Anthony Towns. The sky is the limit for him. He just has to figure out, like Bruce Leroy, that he is the master. He does not have to defer to anybody else. When he's ready to do that, then he'll take his place amongst the NBA elite. And when I say the elite, I mean the cream of the crop. But anyway, peace.